Remember that friend Brian I mentioned back in my Earthbound review? The one who returned my copy of Same after something like 11 years? Dude had a subscription to Nintendo Power for ever, it would seem. Back issues of Nintendo Power are awesome because they operate on a plane completely apart from mainstream gaming journalism. Some would call it a plane full of corporate shills, but at least they're corporate shills with unprecedented access. Case in point, a back issue from 1991 or so, which featured a look at this new NES RPG called Earthbound. Yes, 1991. Yes, NES. They weren't talking about the Earthbound you know, love, and covet, they were talking about its predecessor, the oddly titled but very familiar Mother. This precursor to one of the great cult classic RPGs would eventually become known as Earthbound Zero. It was all ready to be released in the States, it was translated, heck, it even found page space in an obscure corner of Nintendo Power, but it was never to be. Then, back in 2003, seeking to extract some more money from their user base and establish the Game Boy Advance as an RPG powerhouse to succeed the SNES, Nintendo re-released Mothers 1 and 2 on one GBA cart. That's right, they did reprint Earthbound. It just never made its way to the States. That said, the GBA is a region-free system, so many a gamer, myself included, imported the compilation if only for novelty's sake. That was nearly a decade ago. Aside from the fact that it's portable, there isn't really much difference between this and the console versions of Same. Primary differences include a GBA-friendly sleep mode and certain changes to the sound effects of Mother 2 that represent the translation from SNES to GBA hardware. Mother, though, sees its fair share of alterations. Shigesato Itoi himself admitted that the ending of the game was rushed for its original Japanese release in 1989, and several corrections and extensions were planned for the US release that never was. Regardless, these changes found their way back from oblivion, along with some rather Puritan eliminations of sex, booze, smoking, and other stuff that 1991-era Nintendo didn't want on their family-friendly consoles. If you're an Earthbound veteran, you'll be right at home with Mother. Don't think on that too hard. The setting and gameplay are largely similar. This dude in particular rings a fairly loud bell. Though compared with its successor, Earthbound Zero's pacing and difficulty, especially in the early game, feel quite brutal. You thought Frankie Stein and the Sharks were a pain in the butt, you'll reconsider after accidentally talking to this zombie dude. Both games are almost entirely in hiragana and katakana, as were most titles of the time, so you're not traversing a kanji minefield if you decide to import. Of course, if you have Earthbound more or less memorized, and there's a fair chance you do, you don't really have to read much of anything, do you? And here's the kicker. Thanks to a number of reprints, there's plenty of copies to be found. Granted, there's still imports and on the expensive side, but nowhere near the blow to the wallet a used copy of Earthbound is going to run you. Easier in the long run than import modding both your NES and Super NES, unless you've already done so. Oh well, nothing wrong with having contingency plans.